Australia to ban children from using social media. Rare Australia W, actually, unironically. That is actually so good. Alright, let me hear about it. Is it like an actual ban or is it just talking about it?
Australia is to ban children from using social media. The legislation will impose and enforce a minimum age to use platforms like Facebook and Instagram by the end of the year. Although the exact age hasn't yet been revealed, the government is consulting on settling it between the ages of 14 and 16.
Good. That's a decent age. I wish it was higher, but that's a good start.
Here's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese explaining his reasoning.
However, my problem with that is that you're tying like actual real world IDs or something like that. How do you enforce something like that? I don't know how you can enforce it without being really, really intrusive. Just click 18 and make an account. Yeah, no, I understand that. That's why I think it's like not... It's kind of tough like doing that. You can't without scary surveillance. Yeah, like China and South Korea, they tie everything to their social security. Parent control 100%. But there's bad parents everywhere.
I want to see kids off their devices and onto the footy fields and the swimming pools and the tennis courts. We want them to have real experiences with real people because we know that social media is causing social harm. This is a scourge. We know that there is mental health consequences for what many of the young people have had to deal with. The bullying that can occur online,
Oh yeah, for sure. I had a kid that was my neighbor. Well, no, not a kid that was my neighbor. My neighbor had a kid and he would come over sometimes. The problem is that they start bullying them for not being cool enough or not having this kind of thing. I was talking to them about YouTube and I was like, oh yeah, YouTube's like really cool. And he's like, yeah, I love YouTube. I have like 200 subscribers and my friends say that if you have under 1,000 subscribers or whatever, you're not cool enough. And I'm like, oh, that's so sad. And he said, yeah, they bully me because of that. And I'm like, oh, that's so... I think your channel's probably really cool. And I try to make him feel better. Because he was clearly, like, a little bit upset about it. He was, like, 8 or 9. But, again, you can't really do this without enforcing it really harshly. The idea is based, the enforcement knowing Australia will not be very based. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking, too. Yeah.
access to material which causes social harm.
Well, our correspondent in Sydney, Phil Mercer, tell me more.
Well, as we heard there from the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, he doesn't want an Australian child's best friend to be a device. He wants them out on the football field or playing netball on a court. So what his government is proposing, that before the next election, which is due before May of next year, he wants to bring in new legislation that would set a minimum age for children to access social media. He hasn't said how young an Australian would have to be or how old they would have to be in order to set up an account. It's likely to be somewhere between 14 and 16 years of age. The Prime Minister is favouring the upper level in that age range. But many unanswered questions remain. How would this be enforced? We know that facial recognition and age verification software will be trialled in this country ahead of any specifics relating to this legislation. So essentially...
But that's not good, man. In South Korea, for example, your social security is tied to your, like, person, right? And to your accounts. And I know that for a fact that in China, it's the same thing. So, like, again, it's kind of like, I don't know how to solve this problem myself. It's just like, how do you solve such a prevalent problem where you have to check their age? Require a college level reading access to social media, that way all dumb kids won't be allowed, and no dumb adults.